never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. Today's video is going to be about football, and football. So we'll talk about all those things coming up here in a minute. But first, I want to start out today's video on a sad note, and I really hate to do this. Anybody that knows me personally knows I'm a happy, cheerful, go-lucky guy all the time. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is to put things into perspective. In case you have not heard, I was going to talk about it yesterday in yesterday's video, but I thought, well, no, I'll just wait until Friday, since Friday's video is going to be about football and yesterday's video was about wrestling. But for those of you who may have not heard, Wednesday, Clemson defensive player Bryan Bresee lost his 15-year-old sister to brain cancer. And the reason why I bring this up is because these things are terrible. They're awful. So thoughts and prayers go out to Bryan Bresee's family, because what a horrible, horrible tragedy. There's been a big thing going on lately with Ella Strong t-shirts around Clemson because the young lady's name was Ella, and she's been battling brain cancer for a long time. But anyway, it puts things into perspective, because Tuesday at Dabo's weekly press conference, he was asked when Bryan Bresee would return. Because of Tuesday, she was still alive, but he missed last week's game. And then Dabo said on Tuesday that Bryan Bresee had more things to worry about than football. They've already said that he will not play this week, and there is no timetable for his return. But it puts things into perspective, because not everybody, but I would say as a whole, the majority of football fans are just crazy. We sometimes think that these football players, because they're on the field doing something they love while we watch them, that they're not human and they don't go through the same stuff that we go through. And most teams have these outrageous, crazy fans that when your team's quarterback has a bad throw, bench him. If your kicker misses a game-winning kick, they get death threats and everything else, and it's crazy. They're humans just like we are. They battle the same stuff just like we do. And I heard a story earlier this week, I think it was on Tuesday, that in Clemson's game last week, they had a 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, and Phil Maffa had a 6-yard run to set up 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. And on 2nd and goal, DJ had a 2-yard touchdown pass to Jake Brenningstool. Well, there was some Clemson fans that were mad that we didn't run the ball again on 2nd down. When we get to the point to where we're unhappy and we're mad about touchdowns, there's a problem. So things like this, when they happen, it shows us that life is bigger than football. We're supposed to be happy when our team wins. We're supposed to be angry when our team loses. But if you ever watch your favorite team when the game ends, if they win, the coach will say, well, we'll celebrate tonight, and tomorrow morning we'll turn the page to whoever they play next week. When they lose, the coach and the players will say, well, we'll be sad tonight, but tomorrow we'll turn the page to whoever they play next week. And that's what we should do. We should have the joy in winning. Dabo Swinney always says the fun's in the winning. We should be happy when our team wins. We should be mad when our team loses. But wake up the next day, move on, move past it, get over it. Life is bigger than football. And things like this put things into perspective. So definitely thoughts and prayers go out to Brian Bressee's family. But maybe next time we think about sending out a death threat or wanting a player benched, we'll realize they battle the same stuff we do. They go through the same stuff we do. There's more important things in life than a football game. But on to some more positive football stuff. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the debut of Amazon Prime Thursday Night Football last night. I know before the season started, I talked about how we're slowly going towards having to pay to watch our favorite team play. And you saw that last night with Amazon Prime. What I'm hoping is that people will say, you know what? I love football, but I'm going to keep my money. I'm not going to spend all that money for a monthly subscription to Amazon Prime to watch a Thursday night football game. If people would do that, then the NFL wouldn't try this again in the future and they'd stop it. But I guarantee you that there'll be millions and millions of people who do not have Amazon Prime who will get Amazon Prime just to watch one Thursday night football game a week. And what that's going to mean is in a year or two, the NFL is going to say, you know what? If they paid extra for one game, we'll make it a second game. And they'll start putting the Sunday night game or the Monday night game on something besides regular TV, but it won't be Amazon Prime because you already have that. It'll be Hulu or Netflix or something extra you don't have to make you pay for that too. But there was a brand new announced team on Thursday Night Football as well. It was Al Michaels, who left NBC to go to Amazon Prime along with Kirk Herbstreit. So for all you people that watch that stupid nonsense, calls itself a college football preview show on Saturday's College Game Day, you now get to see a lot of Kirk Herbstreit because you see him for 3 hours on Thursday night now if you have Amazon Prime, 3 hours on Saturday mornings, and about 4 hours on the Saturday night primetime game for college football on ABC. And speaking of 4 hours, I want somebody to explain to me how come if you watch college and you watch the NFL, you know that the college game and the NFL game now, they're pretty much the same game. And there's very, very, very few differences. It used to be different, but now they're pretty much the same game. They do that so that all these quarterbacks that are NFL ready, that are good enough, can pretty much go to the NFL. Nothing changes. You run the same system. So why is it a college game lasts 4 hours and an NFL game lasts 3 hours and 5 minutes? They play the same amount of time. I just don't understand it. These college games nowadays just last way too long. Is Urban Meyer going to Nebraska? And I say that because I know last week I talked about Scott Frost getting fired, and I said by Monday or Tuesday you would hear a bunch of names that are going to Nebraska, and sure enough, I've heard 45 names already this week. Me personally, if I was Nebraska, I would go after Iowa State head coach Matt Campbell. Not saying he would take it, but he would be my first choice. I would make him say no. But rumor is Urban Meyer is going to be in Lincoln, Nebraska tomorrow, and rumor is he's going to get offered a 10-year deal for $125 million, which is $12.5 million a year. I don't know if it's true or not, but I saw that yesterday, and I was just wondering if anybody else has seen that. And if you have seen that, do you believe Urban Meyer will again come out of retirement and start coaching? But this time, he'll be back in the college game with Nebraska. And I don't know why there was no college football game last night. There was a college football game, but it was Benedict and Savannah State. But I'm talking about as far as a NCAA Division I Power 5 conference football game, because you would think that with Amazon Prime now having the Thursday night NFL game, and most people as of yet don't have that college football would have a game. They didn't have a game last Thursday either. I believe Thursday night football returns next week in the college game. I'm not positive, but I think it comes back next week. I know it used to be great games on Thursday night years ago for college when the NFL game was only on the NFL Network, but then CBS started carrying it, and the college game ratings just got blowed out of the water, so they quit having such good games. But now it's on Amazon Prime, so I think now college football could do pretty good until everybody starts getting Amazon Prime. And believe me, everybody that watches the NFL is going to get Amazon Prime. There ain't nobody going to say, you know what, I'm not paying for that. Every single person that watches the NFL is going to get Amazon Prime probably within 3 weeks of Thursday night football. But again, this week, just like last week, looking over the schedule, in my opinion, there's just not a lot of good games this week. That's the downfall of all the good games in week 1, is that it means in week 2 and week 3, you just don't get a lot of good football. Now, it'll be just like last week where there'll be some games that we don't expect to be close and shouldn't be close, will end up being close. But there's actually a game tonight. Tonight we have Florida State at Louisville in the ACC. And then tomorrow, the action actually starts at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We have the Wofford Terriers going up against the Virginia Tech Hokies. Now, Virginia Tech looked awful in week 1 when they lost to Old Dominion, but they looked really good last week when they beat Boston College, and they beat Boston College pretty handily. So what do we get tomorrow? Do we get week 1 Va-Tech, or do we get week 2 Va-Tech? If we get week 1 Va-Tech, Wofford, who's a pretty good 1AA team, is probably going to hang with them. But at noon, there's only 3 games that, in my opinion, might be worth watching, and that is Georgia at South Carolina. That'll be the ESPN game. I think it'll be close for a half. But I think I heard yesterday on the radio the point spread right now is something like Georgia by 22 or 23. And that's about what I think. I think Georgia's going to win something like 45-17, 45-20. Maybe the Gamecocks get a late touchdown, make it 45-24. But it'll be somewhere between 20 and 25, 26 points, something like that. And then we got Oklahoma at Nebraska. And originally I didn't think this was going to be a very good game, and it still may not be. But I saw a stat earlier this week that said last year there was 7 Power 5 teams that fired their coach in the middle of the season. And of those 7 teams that fired their coach, the following week they were 4-3 against the spread, which means that the majority of the teams that fired their coach in the middle of the season, they overachieved the very next game. So maybe Nebraska overachieves tomorrow and hangs with the Sooners for a while, but I think Oklahoma will win. And then we have Purdue at Syracuse, and this should be a close game because Syracuse actually has a really, really, really good defense. So I think their defense will allow them to hang in the game. I might be wrong, but I think that'll be a close game. Then at 3:30 on Fox, we have BYU at Oregon. Oregon, for some stupid reason, ranked again. So I want to see BYU clobber them. I think BYU beats them by at least 17 points. But hopefully I'll be wrong and it'll be a good game. And then we have Penn State at Auburn. I think Auburn is a hot pile of doo-doo. But we'll find out tomorrow because that is the CBS game. And if I'm right, Penn State will walk the dog with them. And then we have a weird game time tomorrow. 5 o'clock on the ACC network is Liberty and Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest wins, but Liberty has a good enough offense to, I think, hang with them for a while. But Wake put up 45 against Vanderbilt, so no reason why they can't put up at least 50 against Liberty. But don't be surprised to see Liberty score between 25 and 30 points. And then at 7 o'clock tomorrow night, we have Texas Tech at NC State. Texas Tech has a brand new head coach in Joey McGuire. And through their first 2 games, they have looked really, really good on offense. So this should be a very good game. Then at 7:30, the primetime game on ABC is Michigan State at Washington. And then on the SEC Network at 7:30, we have South Florida at Florida. I'm going to go on a limb and say that a Florida school wins that game. And then the game that everybody's talking about is probably going to be the game of the weekend, and that is 9 o'clock tomorrow night, Miami at Texas A&M. And I know before the season started, I said A&M was going to be 8-4 again, 9-3, because Jimbo Fisher is an 8-4 coach. But if they play all season long the way they played last week, they may not win 6 games. They looked absolutely pitiful, and it wasn't one of those fluky games where App State just up and pulled the upset. It was an upset, but it wasn't no fluke. Appalachian State just beat them on both sides of the ball. Appalachian State's offensive line dominated A&M's defensive line, and Appalachian State's defense looked good as well. But can you imagine all the hype around A&M and how they were going to be a top 10 team, which you had to be foolish to believe that. But for some reason, all the college football pundits believe that. But can you imagine with all the hype around A&M, they start out 1-2, and they ain't even started the tough part of their schedule yet. You start out 1-2, and you still ain't played Alabama, you ain't played Arkansas, you ain't played Ole Miss, you ain't played LSU. So if A&M loses this game, they'll be lucky to win 7 games. And to win 7 games, they'll have to have an upset win like last year against Alabama in there somewhere. Otherwise, they won't win anywhere close to 7 games. And I know you look at Jimbo Fisher's contract and you say, there's no way he gets fired. But this day and time, with all the money these schools are making, there's no such thing anymore as a coach not being able to get fired. If A&M goes 6-6 or 7-5 this year, if Jimbo Fisher lasts all year long, he will be on the hot seat going into next season. And I think I saw on Monday that so far, since Jimbo Fisher has been at A&M, with the amount of games he's coached at A&M, in those same amount of games, Kevin Sumlin actually had 1 more win than what Jimbo Fisher has through the same amount of games. And everybody hated Kevin Sumlin, so that just shows you how much Jimbo Fisher has underachieved. According to all the pundits, to me, he's about where he should be. I think he's an 8-4 coach, just like Mack Brown. Mack Brown has coached for 975 years, and you look at his resume, he's an 8-win coach. That's what he does, but yet every year they talk about Mack Brown being a great coach. No, he's not. He's an average coach. Jimbo Fisher is an average coach. They have the most slowest, most pitiful looking offense I've ever seen. They make walking in quicksand look fast with the slow offense they run. They make methodical look like you're in a hurry with the offense they run, which is why they struggle the way they do, because Jimbo Fisher still runs the archaic offense that might have worked 20 years ago, but this day and time that offense does not work. But he was hired at A&M to run the offense he ran at Florida State and LSU, and it's not working, and he won't hire anybody to call plays because he was hired to run his offense. His offense is not working. But any thoughts on anything we've discussed today, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. My boss was looking for me today at work and asked me where I was. I said I was hiding, and he said, why? And I said, they say good help's hard to find. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.